Community Hotline, what's going on? I'm your host, Bob Fang, and today we have community member Marius Loots on here. This is for the community, by the community, presented by 88 Real Estate Media. Uh, Mr. Marius, why don't you introduce yourself, good sir?
Hey guys, my name is Marius Loots, and I think I'm just here to spread the love. I mean, it's good to be here. And seriously, thanks for getting me on. I honestly just saw one of your things the other what was it, 2 nights ago, and that's what got me interested. So I'm just here.
Nice,
I'm ready.
nice.
I don't know what can I tell them. What can I tell them about myself?
We're going to. I don't. What are three fun facts?
All right, so I'm from South Africa. I'm a white African. I went to high school with this guy, so it's been a while since I've talked to him. But you know, I'm living in Florida. I was a Marine. I'm actually studying criminal justice right now, and it's a pretty interesting time to be doing that. So, I'm just here to give good vibes, man. But it's cool, I think, because I'm in South Florida and you're in California, so we got East and West over here.
Right, the future of the internet right now. I love it. So before we get started, rules of the game is this is a kid show. So there is no cursing. If you do curse, you get a first strike. If you curse again, you get a second strike, and then on third strike, you get booted. No one's ever been booted before. Try to get that disclaimer go. Let's talk about our first topic of the day, which is money. What is money?
It's opportunity, man. It's opportunity, and it's so many things. But I think money is just, you got to start early. You have to start early, and you have to be educated, just like anything else. You really want to start getting some financial literacy as soon as you can in this world.
Okay.
One thing, yeah, man. I mean, they always say, like, I was hearing all these teachers say, especially in college now. I'm going to college a little later in life, and I hear all these teachers say to these 18-year-olds, don't get a credit card because you're not going to know how to spend it and you're not going to be able to handle it. And I mean, that's a good thing to be aware of if that applies to you, but at the same time, being able to build credit at 18 puts you ahead of the curve. I mean, if you can just find a way to limit yourself, like leave that thing at home. One thing I did when I was young, I set up all my auto payments on my credit card. And then I didn't touch my credit card, but that way all my auto payments would go off and it would still build credit with things like your phone plan. If you have a car payment, I didn't, because I never had a car until I was like 23. But there's a lot of things out there that you just let your money work for you, and it really helps you out later in life, man.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. What I guess did they teach you anything about money in the military?
They really did. Like, they offered all these financial classes, the whole I forget, like the 30 70 10 the 20 70 10 rule about saving and spending and income. They give you a lot of good basic classes. Most people don't really take advantage of them, though. It's kind of sad. So you don't realize until you're old. Yeah, you really don't realize until no one cares about it when they're young until it's too late. And it's that is, if I could give you guys one piece of advice on money, it's just learn about it when you're young, because you see people win the lottery and then they go broke. Like, money doesn't teach financial literacy.
Right.
Financial literacy will translate to wealth, though. So that's opportunity. Like, a lot of people look at it as a greed thing, but I mean, that's stuff you can do for your family. That's stuff you can give back to the community. But you want to be able to have that opportunity.
I agree. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think people, if the military gives that many resources? Why do you think people don't take advantage of it? I mean, in general.
I mean, of course, like there's always the smart guys that do. There's always the guys that do. But you know, all right, I was in the Marines, so there's a different type of crowd in the Marines, and I think we were just too eager to in other ways, and you know, we may be doing other things instead of what we're supposed to be doing. Like, you know, the Marine Corps is pretty famous for its drinking and its other things that were going on, but honestly, I think you know you see the guys going through the financial literacy classes, and you see the guys on the other end of the scale who are buying Mustangs with 20% interest rates when they're 18, and it's you look at, I know them now, like close to 10 years later, and there's a difference. There's a huge difference. Some of them are married with homes, and other guys are still working at bars and stuff like that. Which, you know, I'm not gonna knock it, but like it's just those decisions you make young really start to make a huge difference when you add 10 years and you look at that and you make the comparisons. So it's just something to think about, you know.
That is the truth. That is the truth.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to the second topic, which is education. You know, tell us, what type of person were you in high school? Who were you in high school?
Man, like I was a goofball. I loved the social aspect of high school, but man, I did not. I mean, I was a B student. I was a B student. I wasn't a bad student, but if I had to put more than so much effort into something, I don't think it was getting done. So I didn't appreciate the education as much, and I think we were lucky. Like we were very lucky. We went to a good high school, so just by default, some of that information slid through, like got in there, and it wasn't until after the Marine Corps I really started to enjoy the experience of just always learning. So it's kind of amazing, you know. And hey, like these days you can learn anything, and you just have to have the drive. But man, it's so yeah, man.
What would you say are like are two defining moments in your career, like education wise or life wise, and how did it, you know, impact you?
Yeah. The first one that taught me a lot about myself was definitely joining the Marine Corps after boot camp and after infantry school. I went to reconnaissance training, and I spent about 8 months there. And after 8 months of that kind of pretty intense training, I was dropped on the last day, and that was, you know, I had a lot of I had a lot of pride. I was a pretty I wanted to prove myself. That was the kind of kid I was, and I had a lot, you know, I had a lot of heart in one direction, and I put all my eggs in that basket. And so when I failed, I fell really hard, and it took a huge hit to my ego, man. And that, like looking back on it, I think everyone should be humbled like that, you know. Everyone should be really humbled, and it's funny because it teaches you like how are you going to bounce back? What kind of person are you gonna? Are you gonna get back up, or are you just gonna let it tear you down? And you know, it's like I let it tear me down for a good 2 years. I was salty about it, man. And it wasn't until a few years later I was like, all right, I need to keep doing this, or I can do something about it. And hey, man, it taught me my limits. Like I went a lot further than I thought than a lot of other people went. So uh, you just have to do something. You just have to do something, pick something, and go all out. And even if you don't make it, like you're gonna learn a lot about yourself. Sounds a little preachy, but it's these cheesy things that are really, you're gonna realize later are really true. And the second thing was kind of on the same token. After the Marine Corps, I went to UCF after my first semester. I was hit by a car while riding a bicycle, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I had a pretty pretty serious traumatic brain injury, and that sort of changed my life. You know, there's a lot of symptoms there, like insomnia and memory loss, and your personality is altered without you knowing why. So that was kind of scary. You know, you have like unexplained anxiety, depression, all these symptoms that are very confusing. And I know that a lot of people, a lot of young people, especially today, are feeling a lot of those symptoms, for whether it be for, you know, I know a lot of people are going through serious stuff that are way even worse than that. And um, I think what's funny is that the worst part of all those symptoms was feeling like I was the only one going through it. And then when you realize that everyone experiences this type of trauma, I mean, literally, there's not a single adult walking around today that hasn't experienced some type of trauma. That's the first step to like, you got to be kinder to yourself, you know. And then if you're not kind to yourself, you're never gonna get better. So I think that's what that taught me, man. It taught me to like be okay with myself.
Were you not okay with yourself prior to that? Like coming out of the
Yeah,
Marines
I,
and then to college?
I think the difference was that my self-worth was based on how much I could achieve. Like it was based on things like, you know, my status, like how in shape I was, like how my grades were. And it's like, it's good, obviously, to have that drive and to like whatever you need to do to push yourself. Um, but I think a lot of people today, especially today, they find things like that, like you always talk about this thing like unconditional love, but when you think about self love, it's like your self love is also needs to be unconditional. So even if you're not this amazing person, even if you're not this like overachiever, you still need to be able to love yourself. Like, so that's basically what I'm saying is like the way you think about yourself shouldn't be conditioned based on your achievements. And I think that took a while for me to get used to, but definitely now I think I'm a lot better person. Like my mental health is ironically way better than I was before the TDA, and you know, stuff like that. Plus, I learned a lot about, you know, it got me really interested in the brain and psychology, and now that's like a huge field of interest for me. And you know, found out that there are treatments for TBIs that are actually really effective. So um, that's really good.
I love it. I love it. Why don't you go into you know, kind of, you know, the top three. Well, first of all, let's take it back a little bit, and then we'll touch base back on the brain injury. When you went to recon school, you know, what are like two tips you have for like people going into recon school now? You know, from what you've learned.
Mhm.
You know, you know, yeah. Just what are your thoughts? What are your tips?
I mean, yeah, man, I could sit here all day and tell you, like, for anyone, whether you want to be a Ranger, SF guy, an Air Force security force dude, any MARSOC, SEAL, you know, you do you do have to have those physical minimums. Like, you can't go in and expect them to get you in shape. Um, they will break you. But as far as mentally, man, you take it one day at a time. Like, don't, if you're the kind of person that is stuck on the end goal, you have to learn to live like meal to meal. And that's that, you know, you have to focus on just, you have to really just be in the moment all the time. And the second thing is like, you better be a team player. That's probably more important than anything else. If you're not a team player, your own boys will wash you out faster than the instructors can. Like, you better be a good team player. You better be an honest guy. You better be, you know, or gal. You know, I just, there's some crazy athletes out there, and I love it. Like, it was the best time of my life. But um, you have to want it pretty. You have to want the pain a little bit. You have to enjoy it.
Mm.
Um, you also got to realize that you can't take everything so seriously, man. There's so many people in like even boot camp where we're freaking out. Like, this whole thing's a game. They're just gonna yell at you. Stop, you know. the drill instructor's making fun of them, and they're acting like their own dad made fun of them. Like, come on, man, it's a game. Like, it's you got to take life a little more seriously, man. Everybody's so serious these days.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? All right, so let's go. Man. I like those tips. I think being present in the moment was something that really stuck out to me. When you got hit by that car and you got the TBI, you know, what was going through your mind when you finally like kind of went to the hospital and they told you, you know, what was going on, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, the last thing I remember was like the car lights and then hitting the dust, and then woke up like 12. I think it was somewhere between 12 and 16 hours later in my bed, and I had no memory. So I was a little like freaking out, and I was covered in blood, and I just kind of retraced my steps and found my bicycle bent in half about 2 miles down the road. So at that point, I felt so embarrassed that I didn't go to the hospital, because I was like, well, what am I going to tell them? You know, like, and it sounded stupid, but my memory was so fuzzy at the time that I was just like, all right, I'm just going to sit down and then take things slow. And ended up never going, which is the first big mistake I made. Because one thing about TBIs is if you get one, or if you even think you have one, there's a lot they can do nowadays to really reverse that and reverse the scar tissue in your brain. But the key factor is that you do it within, I think it was 2 years. I mean, don't quote me on it, but the sooner you do it, the better. So like within 1 year, you'll get way better results than if you wait. Like I waited a little over 2 years before I even realized I had it, where the symptoms got so bad, because the symptoms just keep getting worse and worse if you don't take care of it. And so yeah, I mean, and I found out that, you know, but there's a treatment called hyperbaric oxygen therapy, which is good. It's sort of a fix-all, and it's an amazing treatment. So if you guys know anyone who has been through like a car accident and now their personality is a little different, like I have a friend who that's happened to, and he lost all his friends because he's become a really aggressive, angry person, and that is just a part of brain damage, man. That is, you know, he's got the raccoon eyes, and he's become very antisocial, and he's become very aggressive and short and even violent, and it's a huge turnoff, obviously, as a personality. But if that's something you notice about a friend who didn't used to be that way, or at least nearly that much, then that might be something that you want to like push on them and tell them like there's options out there, because it's, you know, it can really change your life in a huge way. So,
well, I'm confident that, you know, you're still on this planet, so I think God still has more things for you to do, right?
Absolutely. I'm not slowing down. I'm speeding up, but it is getting, you know, it's a little harder when you get older.
Yeah, it's true. I can't just jump, you know, start doing like sprinting and doing 100 push-ups just off the bat. I gotta warm my body up.
Yeah, I know. I used to look at all these like old crusty sergeants, like, why are you guys stretching? Now I know why. Like, man, dude.
I love it. Nuts. Let's move on to the last topic, which is love, which is, it seems like something that's really passionate, you know, from what you've been talking about. Can you define love? What is love?
I think about that a lot, man. I used to think about it as a feeling, and I think a lot of people can now know it is definitely an action. It is sacrifice. It is it's like the way you know you love something is that you're sacrificing for it, or you're willing to give up your time for it. You know, time is the most valuable resource on this planet, and if that's what you're willing to give up for someone or something, then that's a good sign that you're on the right track. And I think that's all people need, man. Like, the biggest, like, yeah, man, like the most bitter, miserable people in this world need it the most. And I think the reason they don't get it is because no one wants to spend the time with them and and sacrifice their time with someone like that. But those are the people that need it the most. Yeah, man. And it's like, when we're young, it's just part of our biology. Like, we're a little more narcissistic, a little more focused on ourselves. But try to make some time to like tell people how you really feel, even if they give you a hard time for it. Like, they'll remember you later. They really will. They'll be like, that guy, he actually like, he was the only friend who actually like told me he loved me. Or, like, I don't actually was there. If someone calls you, actually pick up. Everybody says like, oh, you call me anytime, but like, that's this. You got to sacrifice your time for people, man. Like, that's all it is.
That's great. What would
Yeah.
what would you say your first love is?
The Marine Corps. It was. I didn't care about anything. I wanted to prove myself, and I wanted to prove myself so bad that I was itching to go do anything and want to be in dangerous situations for it. And it ended up, being like the brotherhood that I really wanted, and it was awesome. Later, I get a little more mature and realize there's some things there that there's some side effects of loving an institution that's that aggressive, but I still love it,
Like you mentioned, right? Isn't that the institution that needs love the most? Like anyone.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, man.
When you mentioned that, what would you say are some of the, since the Marine Corps was your first love, what would you say are some of the, I guess, challenges that young kids might face, going into the military?
I mean, there's definitely there's that loneliness, there's definitely the separation from home and stuff like that. It might hit you in a way that you didn't expect. I don't know if that was, I mean, that did, at the time I had just gotten out of my first serious relationship, and that kind of bothered me more because they were, right after you get out of a first serious relationship and you feel that you're still like, those emotions are still raw and you're still trying to talk to each other, but you can't because the only way to communicate is letters and stuff. So I think definitely for the younger guys today, especially, like, it's probably going to be a shock not having your phones or anything for long periods of time. It might be different now. I know the Marine Corps is a little more strict on that than other branches, especially in training. But thing is, they make you feel like you're gonna hate your life at first, and it gets so much better, man. It gets so much better. Just don't let the toxic masculinity and all that stuff like get to you. You're probably, I mean, I enjoyed it at the time. It's just a big, take the training seriously, but everything else is just a big game. It's just focus on building those friendships and those bonds, because those are going to be the guys that actually matter. If you do get to go do anything, if you do get to go do your job or combat zone or anything like that. So it's yeah, and definitely like, don't forget about your that's they really do worry about you, because they probably don't understand what's going on as much as you do. And
parents, or what did you say?
Oh, I was just saying, like, your parents or your family probably doesn't understand what's going on as much as you do. And I don't know, like, my family is pretty, they don't like show their emotions as much, so they're pretty like, oh yeah, you're gonna, you'll be fine. But your mom worries about you. Doesn't matter how she is. She wants to hear from you.
Did your relationship with your parents get better or worse or closer when you were in the Marines?
Oh, yeah, better.
Better?
Yeah. Definitely better.
What was it like prior to that?
I mean, it was always good. I think I had a good, I mean, my family, I got lucky, man. I've had like I can't even. I had an easy childhood. My parents were great. They came from South Africa. You know, they grew up a little poor, and then so ever since they came to this country, they have been just these like examples. Like they never let me forget to appreciate what we have. So grew up middle class, and like now they're doing well. But they've always been really good parents, really supportive, and very hardworking. They just set good examples. So I can't say a single bad thing about my parents. I've always had a big respect for them. I think that's part of why I wanted to join the military. Um, yeah, man. I just yeah, man. It's like
How would you, when you say, you mentioned like toxic masculinity, how does like a man express love, especially if they're in the, Marine Corps? What are some tips there? Like,
well, the only way to diffuse that sometimes is humor. And the first thing is just yeah, like don't. I mean, the thing is, toxic masculinity unfortunately has its place in a unit, especially if you're about to go to war. But that's not as much of an issue right now. So I think, yeah, you just have to realize like it has its place. But even those big tough guys who don't look like they can feel a single emotion in their body, just look them dead in the eyes and just say that the cheesiest thing you can say, man. Like, what are they stuff? They need love the most. Give him a big old hug. See what he can do.
that's great.
Seriously,
That's great.
you might get punched, but
What are
you
all
might.
right? I was just sure. Hey, you gotta take a punch sometimes. What are three pieces of life advice you have for the youth?
So big. Well, I think the first one is definitely life is a lot about momentum.
Mm,
So whatever you're gonna do, you know, like whatever even if you're not sure, you don't have to be sure. You know, just do something and do it. Put your entire self into it. Just get after it. Learn because you need to learn a skill. And I think my second piece of advice kind of is in a way the same thing. It's just education is going to be the thing that that gives you opportunity in this world, and it really is power. So the reason I say do something and do it well, no matter what it is because you need to earn skills when you're young, and that will make life so much less stressful for you. It really will. If you don't do it early, it's just going to make life more stressful. You can still succeed later, you can still bounce back later, but it will not be the same. It will be so much harder. You have all this energy right now. Your body and your hormones are protecting you from fear, are protecting you from anxiety. Um, your brains can bounce back so much faster. Your hearts can bounce back from like heartbreak more than you think than you will be able to later in life, I think. Um, where you've got all this energy right now, make use of it and go learn something, get a skill. If college isn't for you, that's fine. Don't like just go. It doesn't matter if you do the military, go do welding, do something. Just get. You need that skill, man. You need something to make you marketable to the world, and that'll when you get that rainy day later in life, like that's gonna be the reason that you're gonna be okay. Um, and that's just you know that's it. I don't know if I have a third piece of advice really.
I mean, dude, that's great. I mean, momentum, right? Don't be afraid to try. I think those are all amazing tips. I think today you shared so much, just kind of giving an insight into kind of the things that you've gone through, and like kind of giving a lot of tips to the young kids out there.
Mhm.
What can the community do for you? What is the biggest problem you have right now in your life?
Man, I wasn't expecting that. I'm pretty. I mean, I just moved down here, man. I'm just looking for work. So if you guys got any job openings, then let me know. But that's about it, man. I just I just want them to know, like, I think things are a little crazy right now, but I want everybody to know, like, people aren't as angry as the world seems right now. Like, most people really just want to love each other. Like, everybody, hate is literally just what comes after someone's been hurt for long enough. So it's just all these people are just like they're hurt in some way. They're just mad, and but there's for every angry person on Facebook right now, there are 10 times as many people who really just want to do good. And we need leadership in this world. So just like, I know you guys, this is everybody gives like millennials crap, or what's after millennials now? Are we on the next generation yet?
I think we're on Gen Z.
Yeah, I think we're on Gen Z. I think you guys man, I think you guys are the most morally conscious generation yet. So I think that alone gives me a lot of hope in that. So just don't let us down, man. Don't be afraid to be out there.
Don't.
Every day.
I love it. I love that. Community member Marius, you got any last words to say to the kids before you get off of here?
No, guys, just keep doing what you're doing. You guys are great. Seriously.
I love it. I love it. I
All
love
right.
it. All right, guys.
Hey, thanks for having me on.